like to focus on some of the more polarizing things in our society, in the world, and have conversations about them. So to start off that conversation, where in the world that you've been to have you noticed the most polarizing nature among the people?
Oh my goodness. That's a tough one.
Cuba?
Yeah, I mean, probably Cuba.
It's totally a hard question.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I mean, let's see.
What about you guys?
Honestly,
America?
I was
Yeah,
gonna say if I would say anything, it would be the States.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah,
We haven't done a lot of travel like in super polarizing like community. Like we haven't done like a lot of the South, for instance, which is obviously quite a different like feel to, you know, like California and the Bay Area especially is so liberal, and so. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've mostly traveled in pretty developing countries.
Where I guess you do see the polarized nature there would be class. I mean, you see like a lot of the wealth in a very small percentage, which I mean, I guess is like a lot of the world. But when you do travel to places like Guatemala and you know, through Central America or like the Philippines, Southeast Asia, like you do see, once you get off the beaten path, you do see a huge, you know, difference between rural communities, like rural and urban, which you don't see in places like the US. So, you know, you have like city life and you have suburb life, but that really changes like dramatically when you go out to developing countries, because city life is where 99% of the wealth is, and urban life is rural life where you have farmers living on $1 a day. So I'd say a lot of the places that we've worked and spent time have like representations of that. So yeah, I mean, you can find it anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, probably Mexico is probably one of the best representations of that, where you have like the uber wealthy in Mexico City, and then you go down to the south in Chiapas and you go to some of the indigenous communities, and there's a lot of tension there between the indigenous and the Mexican government.
Yeah.
What
so
made you?
I'd say you see it in in class the most, I'd say. Yeah.
What makes your gut reaction to that? Cuba. What about Cuba makes you think it's so polarizing in terms of the people?
Probably just because Cuba is like such a unique place in the sense that it's been so isolated from development, but there are still people who are very wealthy in Cuba, you know, like, but it's sort of hidden behind this sort of socialist facade that, you know, everybody's equal, whereas it's not. Like, there's definitely opportunity there for people, and, you know, corruption, which every country has as well. So yeah, you sort of see it there. And also like a huge like polarization, I guess, between the locals and the sort of the semi-locals, like the ones that can travel back and forth between the US, like the ones who are Cuban and identify as Cuban, but have such a different opportunity because they're able to live in the US. Whereas the people that are like living in Cuba are so sort of isolated from opportunity because they just don't have that incentive, obviously the capitalist incentive, but they also just don't have that opportunity. So it's like, there's nothing there to drive them.